after school. The tension with Aizawa was completely madness. He had warned the class to remain silent until detention was over, while he had zipped himself up in a yellow sleeping bag before falling asleep on the ground. Many students also followed their teacher's lead and fell asleep, while others were drawing, reading, or on their phones, etc. All except for the Hashira and Kazuki, who did none of the above, and were all on guard the entire time. Nobody in the class dared to speak because if they did, Aizawa would wake up and add more detention. As per from the blonde who stopped rambling to and about Shinobu, the whole class nearly jumped him. Finally, everyone was released from their hellish detention, scaring out of Aizawa's class without looking back. "I'm hungry," Mitsuri mumbers to herself, a hand over her grumbling stomach. "It's not much, but here's some urigiri I had for lunch," Shinobu says, pulling out the food from her bag. "We're almost back to the apartments." Mitsuri stares a little surprised that Shinobu had heard her mumbling. Mitsuri then takes the urigiri from Shinobu. The Hashira were known for living in the same apartment complex, but in different apartments. That was how the 9 of them grew so close to each other and became friends. "Thank you, Shinobu." Mitsuri grins about to take a bite of the food when she sees Sanmi eyeing her food. There was a faint sound of someone's stomach growling. She breaks the urigiri in half and hands it out to him. "Here." "What? What made you think I'm hungry?" Sanmi glares. "I'm not hungry." "If you don't want to eat it, I will," Michiro says, not even taking his eyes off his phone. Sanmi tisks, snatching the half from Mitsuri, who smiles softly. "What do you guys think of Yin?" Shinobu asks, catching the attention of all the Hashira members, walking down the sidewalk. "Yin is the best," Mitsuri exclaims, "and the cutest." "She's a wonderful girl," Kojo also adds. "I agree, she has a bright future ahead of her," Gomei nods. "That girl isn't flamboyant enough," Tengen dramatically says. "Hopefully tomorrow she comes in something flashy at least." Michiro's sentence fades off as he's suddenly focused on his phone. After seconds of beating a level in his game, he goes back to answering. "Okay." "She's annoying." Obanai rolls his eyes, recalling what had happened in their cooking class. "Too needy." She seems like a brat. Can't stand girls like her," Sakami snoffs, biting the irigiri. "I think she's nice and deserves all the help she can get from us." Shinobu smiles, recalling the sleeping Yin back in the nurse's office. "Aren't you forgetting someone, Shinobu?" Mitsuri asks, munching on the irigiri, a fake smile plastered on Shinobu's face. "Oh, who could I have forgotten?" she sarcastically exclaims. Everyone sighs, deciding to end the conversation there. A few steps behind the group, Giyu silently follows along as usual, rolling his eyes once hearing Shinobu's exclaim, clearly intended for him. But Shinobu's question made him think. What did he think of Yin? When he first met her during lunch, he was curious at the weird girl. She approached him as if she already knew who he was. He assumed that Yin was just like those other girls in the school, only ever wanting to befriend him either for his looks or because he's a member of the Hashira. Heck, he didn't even know why he opened up to her, telling her about his insecurities, about the Hashira, his inferiority complex, and all. Yet she listened. Not once did she take her eyes off him. Not once did she interrupt him. And not once did she ever say anything bad about his stature. Instead, she told him something completely different. What I mean it is that I'm sure the others know that you have trouble expressing what you want to say, though, through words, but that doesn't stop them from still wanting to hang out with you. And besides, I'm sure lots of people want to be friends with you. Me, duh. I really want to be friends with you, so let us get to know each other, okay, Gyu? Whether or not Yin was telling the truth, for some reason, hearing her reassure that his friendship with the Hashir wasn't how he thought, it would set him at ease. Just a little, and maybe even so. Gyu wondered to himself. He wondered if someone like him could actually be friends with someone like Yin. For this part of the book, I will be saying all the Kazuki's names, probably butchering some, because it is the after school for the Kazuki and Muzan. So that's why I will be saying it instead of like blonde or whatever. So yeah, just for example. But until Yin is introduced to them properly, like they say their names to her, I will keep their names a secret. But technically you guys know them. But to Yin in this book, no. Anyways, Muzan was known for being from a wealthy and prestigious family. Goes home by numerous, the second detention ends. As the quiet one out of the Kazuki bunch, he is known as their leader, the head of the group. The other Kazukis, however, live around the same neighborhood where Muzan lives, a rich neighborhood making them known to walk home together, similar to the Hashira. Doma lets out a soft moan as his hands, recalling the touch he felt when touching Yin's lower lip. The soft, warm texture, her surprised expression when his hand touched her. He's at it again, Daki groans, moaning for no reason in the middle of public. Cut it out. People are giving us looks. Kokushibo bonks Doma's head. Doma tisks, rubbing his head. You won't understand, Kokushibo. It was heavenly. Doma drifts off into his own thoughts about Yin. We all agreed to make the Hashira suffer. Just keep those thoughts. Akaza waves his hand in disgust. To yourself. Doma breaks away from his love bubble, turning to Akaza with a smirk. But I'm sure you all are interested in her, Doma says. In fact, I heard especially that Akaza wanted her to piss in his mouth. Seriously? Do you really think I'd do such a thing? Akaza rolls his eyes. He expected the Kazuki to side with him, but they all just stared at him, dead-eyed. Yes, you would say something like that. Doma smiles maliciously. And you did. The rest of the Kazuki's faces darken to disgust. Wait, guys! Akaza holds his arms as all the Kazukis stare at him with the same expression. It was a joke. I was joking. Akaza, Gitaro's croakingly states. You're no better than that moaning weirdo. He points to Doma. How disgusting, Akaza. Daki sways, her brother catching her as the two paces quickly away from the group. You make me sick. Guys, it was a joke. I was joking. Come on. I'm not a kink shamer. I think it's Kayaku's pace quickens as he walks past the fellow Kazuki member. But I'm kink shaming. Kayaka, you of all people know I'm not into that type of weird bullshit. Akaza scoffs, but Kayaka was already too far to hear. You always suck me as the aggressive type who wants to pick a fight with someone strong. And Mu says, without even looking up from his phone, but to think you were into that? It's not what you think, you psychotic jerk, Akaza yells. He then turns to the only one left in their group, Kokushibo. You believe me, don't you, Kokushibo? I was just joking with the girl. Kokushibo stretches his arms tightly, purposely ignoring Akaza. I think I'll head home first. Got a shift in an hour and a half an hour. With that, Kokushibo heads off, leaving Akaza's jaw dropped, and alone with Doma, who who chuckles evilly. You weasel bastard. Akaza grabs Doma's collar, in which his eyes yelp. as Akaza starts beating up his ass. I'll beat the shit out of you. Ow, ow, ow. Suddenly the two boys' phones vibrated as there was a message sent with a photo attached sent to the Kazuki group. Chat by Daki. With the beaten up Doma, Akaza drops him as he huffs a hot breath, pulling out his phone and checking. His eyes widened at the picture. It was a police car. And in the front of a fancy-looking home, a man dressed in a suit is seen hugging the yin. Okay, apparently Yin's an object now. His face is not shown in the picture, as his back is facing the camera. I'm sorry, I thought that was funny. I'm gonna try saying his name. Naito Tashibana, I think, makes a sudden swerve on the street and comes upon Yin's house. As everything seemed normal, his eyes go large when Yin comes into view, driving into her house's parking lot and parking. Naoto rushes out of the vehicle. Yin sees all this as she runs full speed at Naoto, tears streaming. Naoto, she wails. The two hug deeply as Naoto's heart races in worrying. What could have happened that made her like this? Yin grips on Naoto's shoulder. He rubs her back, trying to calm her down. It's okay, I'm here now, Yin. Naoto softly whispers, calming her. Naoto looks around the surroundings and noticed the looks and stares that were given by the people walking by. Let's go inside, Naoto says, breaking free from Yin's grasp. We can talk inside. Don't worry. I'm here. He wipes Yin's tears with his sleeve as the two quickly and quietly head indoors. The Hashiren Kizukis stare wide-eyed at the scene that just happened as Taki snapped a picture of the scene and sent it to the Kazuki group chat. At the same time, all of them had the same question in mind. What the hell happened to Yin? I entered Yin's house first, checking for anything abnormal, while Yin was closely behind me, grabbing the back of my suit. Is anyone in here? I raised my voice inside the house. If you are, come out with your hands up. Silent. The eerie silence disturbed me as I glanced at Yin over my shoulder. Yin, I want you to stay here. I'll search the area, and if anything happens, scream, okay? The girl nods, in which I slowly made my way deeper into the house. Right from the start, I had a feeling something strange was going on about the house. I just didn't know what. I cleared out the kitchen, living room, bathroom, bedrooms, including Yin's room. There was nothing. I checked for anything hiding spots, like under the bed, but there was nothing. Feeling a sigh of relief, I head back downstairs to find Yin sitting slightly on the ground behind the couch. She was hugging her knees as her hands were shaking while holding her phone. Everything is clear, I say, assuring the scared girl. I knee down in front of her. I tried to give her a soft smile, but she doesn't return the smile. Instead, she reaches for my right hand using her left. As she unlocks her phone with the right, she opens up her screenshots and places the phone on my hand, facing it towards me. I take the phone, looking down at the screenshot message from unknown, reading them. My eyes shake at what I just read. Is this all of it? Yin slowly shakes her head no. My left hand swipes from left to right to the last screenshot. That was what took my breath away, making chills run up my spine. Unknown. I love you, Yin. We love you, Yin. And we are doing this just for you, our beloved. I looked up from the message to find Yin's head looking down. Her body was shaking. With a swipe of her arm, she unlocks her phone to the ground. Knocks her phone to the ground before leaping towards me and pulling me into a hug. I quickly place a hand back, making sure I didn't fall, as my other hand hugged the poor girl. She chokes a loud sob on my shoulder. I'm scared, Yin cries. My shoulder is drenched in her sobs and snot, but I ignore that, hugging her back tightly. Yin, I quickly mutter, I won't let anything happen to you. Whether or whoever is texting you, I promise nothing will happen to you. Not on my watch. Okay, Yin? Hearing this, Yin nods. Her shoulder relaxes a little before breaking away and wiping her tears. Is that all right? If I take your phone to the investigation unit, I ask, my eyes full on her phone on the ground. Fell on the ground. The situation has gone worse, and about you saying that you aren't from here is worrisome, Yin. Yes, you can take it, she responds. I'll have them track down the location of where the text could have been sent, I say, taking out a plastic bag from inside of my suit and pulling the phone in and zipping it up. For now, I'll buy you a new phone, if that is okay with you, Yin. Yes, anything is fine, Yin says. I nod, getting up from my knees, which makes Yin raise her head in a rush. Don't worry, I'm not going back to the apartment. I'm going back to the department to make a report on the problem. I quickly reassure her, giving her a pat on the head. I'll come back as soon as possible. Will I have to live here? Yin suddenly asks. Alone? That was when her words sunk into realization. That's right, if she lives here alone, something is bound to happen. I can call for assistant to surveil for your house. They'll watch the perimeter of the house from outside so nothing happens. Is it possible for you to live here with me, Naoto? Ian suddenly asks. Her expression was serious. Her grip on my hand tightens. Live here? I still repeat, but Ian, this is your house. I can't live here just like that. I softly try to assure her. Nothing will happen. There will be severe surveillance around the house. And if you are worried about living alone, I can call a bodyguard to watch over you. No, I want you, Naruto, Yin aggressively exclaims. Her eyes flared. I trust you, and only you, Naruto. Yin, when you said you believed my story this morning, it made me happy, Yin continues. It made me realize to know that I wasn't going insane. The man back in the police department didn't even believe me. Even if I tell others about my story, chances are they won't believe me. They won't trust me like you do, Naoto. Before I knew it, I was on my knees, hugging Yin. It was almost as if I was seeing a familiar someone asking me to trust them. Yet, in this case, Yin had already and fully put her trust in me. I just need you to trust me, Naoto. Okay, I muttered, pulling my head back to slightly see Yin's face. Her cheeks were slightly flushed from all the crying as her eyes were slightly puffed. I trust you, Yin, no matter what. I gave her a soft smile. I will contact your uncle about this situation as you wish. I will also ask him to grant permission for me to watch over you. I was cut off by Yin's eyes lightening up for the first time until now, lighting up in relief, joy, happiness, as she leaped towards me with her arms out and crushing me with a hug. With such force, I loosed my balance and fell backwards with a thud. I look up to see Yin atop of me, and for the first time, I smiled. Seeing her happy makes me so happy, like a younger sister I never had. I went to protect her, unlike how I was unable to protect Hinata. I think it's Hinata. It has been several hours since Naoto had gone, as I'm left alone. Sitting in the living room, I was scared, yes, but Naoto's words assured me that he might also live here. At least, I hope so. I had already eaten a cup of instant noodles, although poorly made, by yours truly. It was better than nothing. I reached for the TV remote and turning it on. I surfed the channels for anything interesting to watch. There was a knock on the front door, startling me. My first thought was of Naoto, but he couldn't have came back so soon, right? I cautiously got up from the couch and carefully made my way to the front door. I peeked through the peephole, and there he was, Naoto. It's me, Naoto. he answers, confirming his identity. Naoto, I exclaim, quickly unlocking the door and letting him in. Naoto enters with a smile on his face, as in his hands were a large suitcase. So, what did my uncle say? I can stay here, he chuckles. It seems that he has already worried about you living alone and was thinking of getting a caretaker. He was relieved that I offered to stay and watch over you because of my job. Wait, what about your wife and kids? Naoto's eyes popped out, and he breaks into a fit of laughter. Yin, do I really seem that old? He wheezes. I don't have a wife nor kids. I don't even have a girlfriend. Naoto goes off laughing, making my cheeks flush in embarrassment. From such an assumption, but that's sweet of you to worry about me. He pats my head. I beam, pulling Naoto into a hug. He hugs me back, continuing on. For the surveillance around the perimeter of the house, the surveillance unit has already set up cameras. I smile, breaking free from the hug. I can't thank you enough, Naoto, I say, looking at his blue eyes. Naoto's eyes smile back. You don't need to. Your safety is my importance, he says, before reaching into his coat pocket and taking out a brand new phone. And this is for you, Yin. My eyes lighten up at the new phone as he hands the box to me with a grin. It was the latest model, too. Wow. Naoto, thank you. How did you... I bought it, he answered. It must have cost a lot. I frowned at the box in my hands. I'll find some way to pay you back. No, don't even think about that issue with the money. Naoto shakes his head. But no buts. Money isn't an issue. Naoto smiles. The two of us enter further into the house. We both decide for Naoto to sleep in the room next door to mine in case of any situation. Naoto goes off to take a shower, while I had decided to sleep early. I couldn't express how relieved I feel, knowing that Naoto was going to live with me, but more importantly, I was grateful. I was grateful for meeting such a nice, trustworthy person like Naoto, yet I couldn't help but notice the look he'd always have in his eyes when talking to me. His eyes were always clouded, as if he was haunted by something from his past.